Other interesting cultural news, you have the trans ACLU lawyer saying 2-year-olds know that they should be able to do transition. Which, yeah, fact check. No, absolutely not. That's insanity. And quite concerning to say the least. Which, yeah, if you want to know why Trump won this election, one of the big variables, I believe, is the trans issue with children. Very few people give a darn about what adults do in their bedroom, yet alone in, I guess, their operation room. Very few people care about that. Much more people care about the kids. And as they get older and older, it is cliche, but I do think of the, was it the reference wife from The Simpsons who always said, think of the children? It's a cliche, but it is true, and they obviously can't consent to anything because they're children, and yet you have people arguing they should be able to make life-changing permanent damage to their bodies. I think that was one of the big reasons why Trump won, because he's going to put an end to that on a federal level. We'll see how it plays out state to state, or even if they can. I suspect this will end up at the Supreme Court. Now, this brought to us thanks to Libs at TikTok, in which she says, quote, "This trans lawyer will be arguing in front of the Supreme Court against Tennessee's ban on child," like, cover your ears if you have trouble listening, sex changes. Is very worried that South Carolina will uphold the ban on child sex changes and thinks 2-year-olds know that they're trans. This is also originally published by Chris Hokic. Looks like it's on CNN, which somehow, again, still in business. They probably have about 18 employees left, but again, still in business. It's pretty impressive.
Lawyer who's going to argue this high-profile case before the U.S. Supreme Court, Chase.
Oh, sorry, I should put a visual disclaimer. It looks like Rachel Maddow on testosterone. I have to check the, what was it, the AI from Twitter or X is the Grok. It looks, yeah, if you're, might be an instance where you're glad you're not watching on Rumble or YouTube. This is a, it's a trans individual, but yeah, it looks like Rachel Maddow took a lot of testosterone and grew a really rudimentary mustache.
Strangio, Chase.
No, I'll give this individual credit. They suited up, which, again. Also, is this, oh, I was going to say, ears as wide as Will Smith's.
Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So the case comes at a time when 26 states have passed laws restricting healthcare treatments for transgender youth, according to a CNN analysis of data from the nonprofit think tank Movement Advancement Project. So how do you plan to argue before the U.S. Supreme Court in a case that could have wide-ranging implications beyond the state of Tennessee?
Well, thank you for having me, Jake. And obviously, this is a critical inflection point for transgender people across the country. We're coming off of an election season.
This is too funny. Apparently, this individual's name is Chase Strangio. Strange. It's an oddly appropriate name. Hilarious. That's just too funny. That's coming from me, and my name is Topping. But I digress.
And where transgender people played an outside role in people's consciousness in terms of the way in which we were situated.
Again, this is the co-director of ACLU LGBT and HIV project.
As a threat to others. And when we look at the map of states that ban this type of evidence-based healthcare, we went from 0 states that had these bans in 2020 to now more than half the country. So before the court tomorrow, the question is really a simple one as I see it. It's really, this is a law that bans medical treatment only when it is prescribed inconsistent with an individual's sex. Our argument is that that treats people differently because of their sex, and therefore the court has to treat it like all other forms of sex discrimination, and that's why it's unconstitutional.
So attorneys representing,
ironically, from the same people that don't believe in the Constitution want to ban guns and free speech, but I partially digress.
The state of Tennessee told the U.S. Supreme Court, quote, "If the government's theory holds, men who identify as women could claim constitutionally based access to women's bathrooms, women's locker rooms, and women's sports. Accepting that theory would perversely erode women's rights and jeopardize landmark statutes protecting women's equal access to schools, winners' podiums, and beyond." What's your response to that?
Well, I obviously disagree with that premise that allowing transgender women into women's sports or women's bathroom is a threat to women, but it is also not the question before the court in this case.
Has this individual never read a newspaper? Oh, more realistically, turned on the internet? How many instances have we covered on this show alone of biological women literally getting beaten to a pulp in sports because they have biological men joining those sports? I mean, in one case, we were talking broken bones. Not only just stolen scholarships and opportunities, but also physical damage. Does this individual not have the internet?
case. And in fact, it is a totally independent question about whether a law that bans medical care for transgender adolescents discriminates against people based on sex versus these separate cases that preceded any of these healthcare bans will continue to be litigated in the courts regardless of the outcome here. So that clearly is conflating a bunch of different questions. The question before the court tomorrow is about whether banning medical care, overriding the consent of parents, the recommendations
care
of doctors is a violation of equal protection.
What do you say to physicians who are sensitive and supportive of trans kids, obviously don't want suicidal ideation, etc.?
Ridiculous. Look at the statistics. Again, it's heartbreaking. You never want people to pass away. But statistically speaking, the people who transition, children, when you look at the folks who transition or do not transition, again, most of them will grow out of it. It's just a phase. Statistically, the suicide rates are the same. They don't need a scalpel. They need to talk to someone. But that's just me.
But wonder if there is enough data as of now to prove that it is beneficial to allow these sort of treatments before the age of 18.
So I would say three things. And the first is we have decades of both clinical experience and research data showing that this is medical treatment that provides critical benefits to adolescents who need it. And so this is not new. This is not new medication. And so we have that information.
That's true. It's not new medication. The medication was used to castrate, again, this whole section should be cover your ears if you're sure listening. Like Lupron, that was a chemical drug used to castrate sex offenders. That's what they're using on children. So this individual is right. The drugs aren't new, but they're being used off-label. They're being used for improper usage. It's being used for, Jeez.
We have long-term studies that track people for 5-6 years. The Supreme Court this week heard arguments in an FDA case in which the FDA referred to long-term as being 6 months of follow-up. Here we have years of follow-up. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is nobody has to provide this medication to adolescents. These are not doctors being forced to provide this medication. These are doctors who are wanting to treat their patients in the best way that they know how based on the best available evidence to us. And these are young people who may have known since they were 2 years old exactly who they are, who suffered for 6-7 years before they had any relief. And what's happening here, it's not the kids who are consenting to this treatment, it's the parents who are consenting to the treatment. And as a parent, I would say when our children are suffering, we are suffering. And these are parents who love their children, who are listening to the advice of their doctors, of the mainstream medical community, and doing what's right for their kids. And the state of Tennessee has displaced their judgment.
Earlier this year, England's National Health Service stopped prescribing puberty blockers for children with gender dysphoria, claiming that there's, quote, not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness. It does seem as though, whereas Europe used to be more progressive on these issues, they're dialing it back now.
I don't totally agree with that premise. There's a subset of European countries that are imposing some guardrails on the prescription of the care, and the puberty blockers pause is temporary. And of course, there's no comparable restriction on restrictions for hormone therapy for transgender adolescents in the UK. But all of these countries that have taken a look at care in Europe and have put in some caution have not done two things that Tennessee has done. Stripped adolescents of the care that they are receiving, and that is something that Tennessee has done through SB 1. And the second is provide no clinical pathway for people to receive the care.
Yeah. Party of insanity. Now, culturally speaking, I think we are winning the culture war. I think more and more Americans are seeing this and wondering, what the hell is this individual? And then also, their statements are as insane as their look in terms of this individual in the ACLU. Also, talking about an organization used to stand for free speech, now it's pro-censorship and pro-transing of kids, which, pretty creepy. Probably should defund them. Now, this has been pretty well. I got 1.9 million views as well as 16. Was that 16? Oh, I thought I could make it 17. Nope, 16,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Alex saying, quote, Rachel Maddow grew a mustache for No Shave November. It's December. Isn't she going to shave it? Got 971 likes. Valentina Gomez says 2-year-olds can't even go to the bathroom on their own, much less know what gender is. This guy's a groomer and sounds like a pedo with his children obsession. Although, again, that was a woman. Got 1.3 thousand likes. And probably why this video will get taken down or blacklisted off the YouTube. Which, again, go to rumble.com, the topping show, for awesome uncensored show. Planet of Memes. A little disappointing. No meme. Nevertheless, this alleged planet of memes says sick and disgusting stuff here, getting 303 likes. AKA says disturbing people, getting 237 likes. What is this? Mag23 says 5 or 6 years. Get the F out, freak, getting 2 likes. I Love American News says, I agree with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, a picture of him in a suit because he's suited up as all men should. And it's a quote from Elon saying, quote, any parent or doctor who sterilizes a child before they are consenting adult should go to prison for life. I got 953, I get 954 likes. Mark says, these people are disgusting and evil. Protect your children from them. And it's a picture of, it's the famous meme girl. It's the kid sitting in the, what is it, the car seat? It looks funny. Says, you're telling me I can't pick my bedtime, but I can pick my gender. Getting 377 likes. Common sense prevails. Good meme or good comic strip. Says he's worried he's not able to mutilate children. What a sicko. Says, and there's a kid asking dad, can I have a cigarette? He goes, no, you're 5. Can I have a beer? No, you're 5. Can I drive a car? No, you're 5. Can I take hormones and change my sex? Sure, you know best. Getting 112 likes, which that's one of the best metaphors for this whole controversial cultural topic, I believe. Because again, it's a cliche as all the time, but I mean, no parent would ever let their kid get a tattoo. And yet, I mean, every kid always asks, like, oh, could I have alcohol? You know, some kids will ask, you know, for things at inappropriate times, which, again, I guess it's just, you know, part of growing up is you learn your, you know, age-appropriate things. Well, unless you're leftist, but most people with modicum of morals do understand that concept. And, yep, it's the one caveat where leftists are like, oh, yeah, that's okay. Red Wave Press says, no doubt in my mind, this woman should be in jail, getting 242 likes. The Modern Populist says, quote, public opinion has turned against him. It won't be long before more states ban genital mutilation surgery. It's exactly what it is, and it has to stop. Look up the stories of detransitioners. It's horrific. Again, thank God for Elon Musk, because, again, those stories were all blacklisted. They were all hidden before he took over. Now, those stories are actually growing in popularity as more and more people realize the detrimental health effects and side effects of all those procedures. And I'm scrolling down. I'm not seeing any contrarian statements thus far. A lot of people doing screenshots of that individual. Some of them bringing up statistics on, you know, who are statistically speaking the most likely to take advantage and hurt children. And it's also the cliche comparing the, you know, there's no such thing as a dog that's a vegan. There's just a dog owner that's a vegan. You're kind of drawing that parallel as well. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out in court. And again, again, it's going to the state Supreme Courts, but I mean, eventually it'll get to the United States Supreme Court. And, you know, it is quite concerning you have someone on the Supreme Court who can't define what a woman is, Ketanji Jackson. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. And again, will the federal, let me know in the comments, do you think eventually will the federal government say that states don't have the autonomy to decide this particular cultural or this particular issue? And I mean, do you think on average, the average American person or individual, do they disagree or do they agree with the fact that you should not transition kids? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.